The first time she said it, I almost cried. "You're way too good for my son," she told me, smiling like it was a compliment. I don't know how he got lucky enough to end up with someone like you. Back then, I believed her. I thought I had hit the jackpot not just with him, but with his family too. His mom, Rebecca, treated me like a daughter from day one. She texted me random recipes, bought me little things just because, called me after job interviews to ask how they went. And when he forgot our anniversary or made jokes that landed a little too hard, she always had my back. "He's immature," she'd whisper, "but he's not a bad guy. You just bring out the best in him." I was 26. He was my first serious relationship after college, and she made me feel like I was being welcomed, chosen. What I didn't see then was that she wasn't complimenting me. She was warning me. It started with small things. He'd show up late to dinner with some half-baked excuse, and she'd rush to explain it before I even asked. "He's working so hard," she'd say. "Men don't always know how to prioritize, but that doesn't mean they don't care." He forgot to call on my birthday once, completely missed it. I cried in the bathroom at work. She sent flowers to my office. "From both of us," the card said, but I recognized her handwriting. I convinced myself it was sweet, that maybe she was just helping him out, filling in the gaps, but those gaps got wider. One night, he came home drunk, reeking of perfume I didn't wear. I was shaking not from anger, but from that sinking feeling that something was off. Again, she stepped in. "Don't create drama where there isn't any. You know how girls throw themselves at men in bars? You're the only one he comes home to, and like an idiot." I believed her, because I trusted her more than I trusted my own gut. The turning point came 6 months before our wedding. She was at our apartment helping with invitations. He wasn't home yet. We were sipping wine, going over the guest list, when I casually asked if she'd ever had doubts before marrying her husband. She laughed. "All the time." But I stayed. "That's what women do." And then she looked me dead in the eye and said, "You'll understand once you're a wife. Men need managing." The air shifted. I smiled, but something in my chest tightened. I started paying attention after that, to little comments she made, to how often she spoke for him, to the way he stopped defending himself because he didn't have to. She did it for him. They weren't just mother and son. They were a team, and I was starting to feel like the third wheel in my own relationship. I kept telling myself I was being paranoid, overthinking, maybe jealous of their bond, until the night I found the folder. It was hidden inside a drawer in her old desk, the one we had moved to our apartment temporarily while she renovated hers. I was looking for blank envelopes. What I found was a folder labeled with my name, and inside it were screenshots, dozens of them, emails, texts, photos, and a literal list of my weaknesses. Why would my future mother-in-law keep a secret folder about me? And why did my fiancé know about it and never tell me? My hands were shaking. I sat on the floor of our apartment, that folder open on my lap, and everything inside it screamed violation. There were screenshots of private messages I'd sent to friends, things I barely remembered writing, old posts from my college days, even a blurry photo of me crying at a subway station, which I had sent only to my therapist. How did she get that? And worse, why the hell was she keeping it? But the list is what hit me the hardest. Written in blue ink, under the heading, "Emotional weak points, use with caution, overthinks everything, wants to be liked by everyone, insecure about job changes, sensitive to rejection, easily guilted." There were bullet points, notes, timestamps, like I was some kind of project. And then at the bottom of the page, in different handwriting, his handwriting was one line, "Don't push too hard or she'll walk." I don't remember how long I sat there. My ears were ringing. My stomach turned so hard I thought I'd throw up. He came home around PM. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. But he must have noticed the drawer open, the folder missing, because the next morning, Rebecca showed up at our door. Not with muffins, not with tea, with a smile that made my blood run cold. "I think we need to talk," she said, stepping into my kitchen like it still belonged to her. I didn't say a word as she poured herself a cup of coffee, the one I made, and sat at the table like she was the one waiting for answers. "I know what you found," she said, calm as ever. "I wish you hadn't, but I'm not ashamed." I blinked. "I'm sorry you're not ashamed?" She sighed, like I was a child in the room. "You have no idea how many women let themselves be ruined by their emotions. I wasn't going to let that happen to you, or to him." Her tone shifted, then hard and sharp. "You're not perfect, sweetheart. You're fragile. And my son has a pattern of choosing girls who fall apart." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You stalked me. You took notes on me. You shared them with him. How is that helping me?" She leaned back and smiled. "I helped him love you properly. I gave him the manual." That night, I asked him directly. I didn't yell, didn't cry, just asked. And he didn't deny it. He looked at the floor like a kid who got caught stealing. "She's just trying to protect me," he said. "She's done this before. It always helps. It always helps." Those words felt like acid on my skin. He said it like this was normal, like handing your partner a psychological blueprint written by your mother was just a thing people do, like love had to be managed. The worst part? For a split second, I actually thought, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I should be grateful they care enough to study me. That's how far gone I was. That's how deep I was in their world. But not anymore. That night, I packed a bag. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't leave a note. I just walked out. And as the cold air hit my face outside the apartment, I realized they weren't trying to love me. They were trying to control me, but walking away was just the beginning. Because what I didn't know yet was that they had one last move planned, and it was already in motion. For the first time in 3 years, I slept alone. No texts, no phone calls, no goodnight messages filtered through his mother's voice. Just silence. And it felt like freedom. At least, for a few days. Because then, the messages started. First from him. I miss you. I don't blame you for leaving. We can do therapy. We'll set boundaries with my mom. Then from her. You're making a mistake. Don't throw away a man who actually listens to you. You're not perfect either. You know, that one hit different. Not because it was cruel, I expected that, but because it sounded like a threat disguised as advice. I blocked both of them, changed my number, told my job I was working remote for a while, rented a small place 2 cities over, furnished with nothing but guilt and a mattress on the floor. But still, something felt off. And then one day, I got a call from my manager. Hey, just checking in, are you okay? I blinked. Yeah. Why? Well, your fiancé left a message last week. Said you had a breakdown? That you weren't in a state to work? My chest went tight. He said what? I asked who else he'd spoken to. My coworkers. My clients. Turns out, he had been explaining my absence for me. Emails. Calls. Subtle hints that I was emotionally unstable and needed time off, which would have been a funny lie if it hadn't worked. One of my clients had already asked to be reassigned. Another ghosted me entirely. They weren't just trying to get me back. They were trying to discredit me. That night, I stared at the ceiling for hours, my fists clenched under the covers. They didn't get to ruin my name. Not after everything. Not after I walked away quietly. So I stopped being quiet. I started with the folder, scanned every page, every note, every screenshot. Then I wrote a letter. Not angry, not dramatic, just clear. I told the full story from the day she welcomed me to the day I found the list of my emotional weak points. I attached the scans, dates, names, her handwriting, his, and I sent it to my employer's HR, my therapist who had received that subway photo, my closest friends, and finally, to him with just one line in the email body. You said I was fragile. Turns out I'm just done. The fallout was instant. HR called me the same day. Apparently, he had also tried to get access to my work schedule, claimed we were still engaged. I sent proof that I had moved out. Cut ties. He was blacklisted from internal contact. Then came the messages, this time from his friends. Some were shocked. Some had apparently seen the list, laughed at it. One even asked if I had a copy she could use for her boyfriend. That part broke me a little. But what mattered was this. The image they had built of me, the weak, over-emotional girl they could shape and control, was falling apart. Just like their plan. But revenge wasn't what I wanted. What I wanted was closure. And for that, I needed to see her. One last time. I didn't tell anyone I was going. I just showed up. Her condo looked exactly the same. Pristine, cold, like a catalog showroom pretending to be a home. She opened the door in her usual pearls and pastel sweater set, like she'd been waiting for a guest, not a confrontation. Oh, she said, her smile tight. I figured you might show up eventually. I stepped inside without asking. Not angry, not polite, just done. Why did you do it? I asked. She tilted her head. You'll have to be more specific. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the performance was so familiar, so perfectly rehearsed. The folder, the messages, the sabotage, all of it. Her eyes didn't flinch. I was protecting my son. You were a risk. That word made something in my chest twist. A risk. She nodded, like she was explaining numbers on a spreadsheet. You had too much influence over him. He stopped listening to me, started questioning things. I knew it wouldn't last, and I wasn't going to let him destroy himself chasing another emotional wreck. I blinked. Another? She caught that, smiled. You're not the first, but you were the easiest to shape. That's when it hit me. This was never about love. Not for her. Not even for him. It was about control, image, power, and I had threatened that just by being myself. Because I didn't break down. I walked away. I took a breath, reached into my bag, pulled out a small, sealed envelope and placed it on her table. What's that? She asked. I looked her straight in the eyes. My final gift. A full report. Timeline. Every step you took to manipulate me and the witnesses who saw it happen. She laughed. But it didn't reach her eyes. You think I care what people think? I shrugged. Maybe not. But your HOA board does. And so does the women's charity you host dinners for. That shut her up. I walked out before she could speak again. Later that night, I sent one last message to him. No anger. No second chances. Just a voice note. Your mother created a version of me that fit her plan. You let her. I hope one day you learn how to love someone without needing a manual. I blocked him right after. Because closure doesn't come from apologies. It comes from release. But even after all that, healing isn't instant. Letting go is one thing. Learning to trust again is something else entirely. It's been 8 months since I left. No grand rebirth. No dramatic revenge arc. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that feels earned. I started therapy again. For real this time. Not because someone suggested it, but because I finally wanted to understand me without anyone else's voice in the background. I stopped blaming myself for not seeing it sooner. For trusting too fast. For mistaking manipulation for support. Because that's the thing about emotional abuse, it doesn't always look like screaming and slamming doors. Sometimes it looks like home-cooked meals and helpful advice. Sometimes it wears pearls and calls you sweetheart. I'm not dating yet. Not seriously. I tried once a kind guy from a book club. But when he asked if I liked sushi, my brain went quiet. Not because I don't, but because I realized I didn't know anymore. I had spent so long being shaped, managed, edited, that even basic preferences felt blurry. So I told him the truth. I'm still figuring that out. He smiled, said, "Take your time. I'll ask again next year. We haven't spoken since." But that moment, that tiny pocket of gentleness, reminded me that not everyone wants to hold the remote to your life. Some people just want to know you, as you are. And that's enough. A month ago, I saw her again, at a mutual acquaintance's event. She avoided my eyes, pretended not to see me, which was fine, because I wasn't there to be seen. I stood in the back, near the exit, sipping water and watching her give a speech about empowering women. And all I could think was, how many other girls did you break in the name of love? But I didn't interrupt, didn't call her out, didn't post the screenshots or forward the file, because this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about finally being untouchable. I left the event early. No goodbyes. Walked down the street alone. No one waiting for me at home. No phone buzzing in my pocket with guilt or apologies. Just me. For the first time in years, I wasn't scared of being alone. I was scared of ever letting someone rewrite me again. And now I'm rewriting myself. On my terms. I don't want closure from people who treated me like a problem to solve. I want peace. And I'm building it. They still try to reach out sometimes. Block numbers, random emails. But I don't open them. Because I stopped waiting for apologies. I stopped wondering if they ever meant well. I stopped trying to fix what was never broken me.